Hi, welcome to Take a Break, Take a Breath for Wednesday, February 23rd. I'm Rick Boyer, the pastor of Prospect Presbyterian Church, and Take a Break, Take a Breath is an invitation for you to pause in your day, to just stop for a few minutes and breathe, to center yourself in God who made you and loves you and calls you by name. I've been using the Gospel of Luke in these sessions as we imagine ourselves in the story as a way of doing a guided meditation and then letting that lead into a time of prayer. Each passage is a particular passage that usually tells a story, but right now we're moving into what Luke calls the Sermon on the Plain. It is his version of what Matthew called the Sermon on the Mount, which we know is much more famous or well known. This particular version starts, it's only about a quarter of the version of Matthew's, but this sermon is really a collection of sayings, not a single sermon, and it starts with blessings and woes. That's a difference for Luke, one difference. And they're intended not to be mandates or commands for how we should behave, but a description of how it is in the reign of God. And in particular, I think in the time of Jubilee, in the time of God's coming reign. So you can, as we hear these, imagine them being spoken to you. At this point, the way Luke crafts the story, Jesus is teaching both his apostles, the 12 that he chose to send out, and the other disciples. And so, do you want to hear it as a disciple, or do you want to hear it as one of the apostles who is perhaps hearing it in a slightly different way, because that apostle is preparing to go out and to share in Jesus' ministry in a leadership role rather than in a part of the community role. So if you haven't already done so, I invite you to go to a quiet place in your house, and if the room has a door, shut the door and settle into a chair. Close your eyes and become aware of the environment around you. What's the temperature like in the room where you are? What is the lighting like? Is it a bright day and the sun is shining through the window, or is it a cloudy day or a rainy day? Are the lights on in the room, or is it mildly darkened? Feel the support of the chair on the back of your legs and on your back, and if the chair has arms, under your arms. Listen to the sounds around you. Do you hear the sound of heat or cars going by outside? Now take a deep breath. And as you breathe in the breath of God. And as you breathe out all that separates you from God. As you breathe in the breath of life. And as you breathe out all that does not give you life. As you breathe in God's peace. And as you breathe out all that does not give you peace, all of your worries and your fears and your anxieties. With each deep breath, become more aware of God's presence with you, of God's life-giving spirit surrounding you. Breathe in, breathe out. In, out. And imagine that the presence of God is coming over you, because God's Spirit is coming over you and is over you, but in a way that you're particularly aware of it. Become aware of it, maybe like a blanket on a warm day. At first you put it over your feet because your feet are cool. And the Spirit of God warms and comforts your feet. And then it moves up to your waist. And it warms and comforts. The Spirit of God renews the muscles in your calves and thighs. And then the presence of God, in a way that you are aware, comes up, and the blanket is up under your arms. And the warmth of God's presence with you calms the agitations in your abdomen. And it relieves the tensions and aches and pains in your back. And your breathing stays nice and deep. And your heart rate slows to a calm and resting pace. And then you pull it up over your shoulders. And you become aware of God's presence touching your shoulders and your arms and your hands. Your hands open, and you turn your palms up to receive God's grace. The muscles in your arms are relaxed and renewed. Your shoulders, if they've been hunched, drop. And all of the tension that you carry in your shoulders melts and floats away. And then you pull the blanket up to just under your chin. And at that point, the muscles in your neck relax. They unwind. And then you pull it up over your head, because there are times when we just want God to completely cover us. And in the comfort of God's presence, your brain and your mind settle down. And things are at peace. Your brow unfurrows. Your jaw muscles relax. The presence of God is touching all of who you are. From the tip of your big toe to the top of your head, to the visible and the invisible parts of who you are. In your mind's eye, go back to the days of Jesus and imagine yourself as an apostle, or as a disciple, or as someone in the crowd who has come to hear Jesus. He's teaching his apostles, but he's teaching everyone else as well. about the ways of God. It's a broad plain where they are, but everyone can hear and see Jesus. What does he look like to you? How does he sound? What is his voice like? Listen to what he taught, recognizing that he is speaking these words to all of you. Blessed are you who are poor, for yours is the kingdom of God. Blessed are you who are hungry now, for you will be filled. Blessed are you who weep now, for you will laugh. Blessed are you when people hate you and when they exclude you, revile you, and defame you on account of the Son of Man. Rejoice in that day and leap for joy, for surely your reward is great in heaven. For that is what the ancestors did to the prophets. But woe to you who are rich, for you have received your consolation. Woe to you who are full now, for you will be hungry. Woe to you who are laughing now, for you will mourn and weep. Woe to you when all speak well of you, for that is what their ancestors did to the false prophets. At that point, Jesus takes a break in his teaching, and the words that he spoke are running around in your mind. Which words does your mind settle on? Which words jumped out at you? What message did you hear for yourself? What questions are raised? For whom would you like to pray? For what would you like to pray about? During this time, you make your way over to a tree and sit down at the trunk of the tree to rest in the coolness of the shade. And Jesus comes and sits beside you. He asks you about all that is going on and what you're hearing. And he gives you an opportunity to answer all that has been going on in your mind. I'll be quiet while the two of you talk. And then the time comes for the conversation to end, for now. And the two of you end the conversation in whatever way is appropriate. And Jesus goes back to the place where he was teaching. And you let that image fade away. You bring yourself back to the room where you are. And when you're ready, open your eyes. Let's take a break, take a breath. For Wednesday, February 23rd, our reading was Luke 6:20 to 49. I'm sorry. Yes, 20 to 49. Luke 6:20 to 49. I encourage you to read it again and to hear it from a different perspective. Put yourself in the crowd, or make yourself an apostle or a disciple. Take one of the roles that you hadn't had before and listen to the words again. If you have questions for me or feedback for me, or you want to talk or pray, send an email to rick@prospectchurch.org and we'll make arrangements to talk and pray together real soon.